It's Saturday night.
The kids are in bed.
Which means we did it. We survived another week.
So let's talk about it.
From our latest homebrew project
to kids' crafting projects.
Just talking life with 2 young kids and 2 dogs. Grab your favorite beverage, sit back,
relax,
and see where the conversation takes us.
Sometimes we don't even know until we get there. This is the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. Another week has flown by, and it is once again Saturday, and it is time to record another episode.
Woohoo!
My name is Joe Ludwig, and with me tonight is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
Pretty good. Kids had a lot of fun today, so I had a lot of fun today.
Hopefully they actually sleep in tomorrow. I think that there's a meme that I was reading, and I think it said, I let my kids stay up like 2 hours past their bedtime, and they slept in an extra 5 minutes or something.
That tracks. They're going to do the opposite of what you want them to do. They just know. Their spidey senses tingle. Oh, mom wants me to sleep in so she can get some stuff done in the morning. Mwahaha. No, I will wake up early and no productivity will happen.
Or mom and sister went out and you're home alone with dad. You're going to scream for 45 minutes.
Elliot was just channeling the cicadas. I don't know what you expected of him. He had plenty of milk. He was fine. He was channeling the cicadas.
We don't even have cicadas, so.
We do, just not a lot. At least at our house. Your brother's house is covered in them, apparently. I figured our front yard would be, because there was a huge tree in our front yard before we moved in. I have seen maybe 4 cicada shells so far in our yard.
Zoe keeps eating them. They're in the grass.
That's probably why we haven't seen any. Zoe's just been eating them all. I did give Zoe slightly less food for dinner than usual because I figure she's got good protein sources outside.
No, but seriously, we are trying to not encourage her to eat cicadas or their shells.
Because we don't want to have to clean up that mess.
And it's not good for them, right?
It's not bad for them unless if they eat a ton. And really, it's more just like the shells are hard and they can annoy their intestines. I mean, it's like if they eat too much of anything, they're going to throw up. That's just what your body says when, hey, you've eaten too much. I'm going to expel some of this so I feel better. Like that's going to be a thing, but the bugs themselves are not harmful to dogs.
Well, hopefully when we mow the grass, all the cicada shells will turn to dust.
How are we going to do that, though? We don't have a lawnmower.
That is part of our next segment.
I was transitioning. I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know either.
It's not like this is like the 12th week in a row that we've done this.
13th? This is episode 13.
I know, but...
Wouldn't that make it 13 weeks?
I don't know. So like anniversaries of events are different than anniversaries of like relationships or birthdays because it's like the first one that you have is the first annual. And so the 5th annual, it's technically been 4 years between events, even though you've had 5, because you don't have a year 0. You start off with year 1. So there's technically 4 years between those events.
I see what you're saying.
But it's 5 events.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I think it's been 12 weeks. Math. I'm an engineer. I'm good with math. Maybe.
We started recording when Eli was 3 months old. Or 2 weeks old. Oh my goodness. He's 3 We started recording.
How old is your son?
He's 3 months, but we started recording when he was 2 weeks.
Jumping ahead a bunch. We were with some friends today. And my friend was holding Elliot while she was starting to give a tour of her house to some people who had just showed up. And she was like, how old is he? He's 6 months old, right? And I'm like, no. He's 3 months old, but he's about to be in 9-month clothing. So based on his size, yes, you are right. But no, that is not how old he is.
Wow. We have another great show planned out for you today.
We do.
We are going to talk all about the crazy adventures that we had this week. Plus, we are going to talk about how we both went back to work.
But mostly me. You didn't put anything in the doc about you going back to work.
Oh, no, I didn't. But
how are we going to talk for an hour? Everything needs to be in the doc. Your things not in the doc.
Nope, not in the doc.
Shame, shame, shame.
Well, you like to talk so much. So
I can talk.
We'll see what happens. So let's dive in and get started.
So, Hubs, you gonna mow the lawn tomorrow?
I would, but our lawnmower isn't working.
Nope. So on Sunday, Joe mowed the front yard and then came in for a break because it's starting to turn into hot and humid season in Cincinnati. So not only is it hot, it's humid. So 80 feels like 90 because you're just sticky everywhere. So we traded. I was going to start to mow the backyard. Well, I started to mow the backyard.
I came in to eat lunch specifically.
Oh, yeah, it was lunchtime. So he ate lunch. I started to mow the backyard. I took a break because we hadn't mowed the grass since before vacation. So the grass was tall and we took very good care of our backyard last year since we had just laid new sod. So the grass in the backyard is thick with like 4 C's. So the lawnmower was not very happy with me about having to cut the grass. So I finally decided that, okay, I need to start looking into places to get the blade sharpened because that will help us with mowing the lawn. And I should probably actually like change the oil in the spark plug. So I came inside to take a break to get some water because I'd mowed about half of the yard and I was like, too much, too many C's. I have to take very small passes. I go back outside and the lawnmower won't start. So I was like, oh, maybe I ran out of gas. I'll go get some gas and fill her up. It still won't start. Okay, let me take it to the concrete pad instead of in the middle of the grass. It still won't start. Okay, let's just chill for a bit. Probably did not chill long enough, though. It still won't start. Hey, Josh and Becky, are you currently using your lawnmower?
Well, I tried to do it after you did.
Yeah, Joe tried to start it. It wasn't working.
We probably flooded the engine.
Odds are very high that at this point we had flooded the engine, so it was not going to start no matter what. So I parked the lawnmower in the front yard, in the front driveway, and then walked to Josh and Becky's house to get their lawnmower, which we do not like.
Sorry, Josh and Becky, if you listen to this.
All I did was push it from their house to our house, and I did not like it. And I literally did not use their lawnmower. I just moved their lawnmower, and I did not like it.
Well, the thing is, it's also a Craftsman, but I guess it's a
newer Craftsman, so it's
I guess, yeah.
crappier Craftsman. I don't know. So ours has it has fully metal arms, and it's metal nesting in metal whenever you fully extend out the arms.
And it's like a legit screw. Like you have to screw it.
It's a knob with this threaded rod to actually screw it in and out. Theirs, which I mean, I guess kind of makes sense for them because they're both taller people. Theirs has a gear tooth where they can adjust the height of their handle. But the teeth on the gear are plastic, and the latch to lock it down is also plastic. So you have to like super press it in and it'll stay, but eventually it might pop out. But when everything vibrates,
when the engine's going and everything is vibrating, it pops out.
So you just have to constantly adjust that little knob, and not fun. So,
well, the way I cut the grass is I use the handle to pick up the lawnmower.
Yeah, you use the handle to pick up the lawnmower so you can rotate it 90 or 180 degrees.
Yeah.
To cut your next strip.
It doesn't work when the handle is falling down.
No, it
or it feels like it's falling down and you might break it. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid I was going to break it.
And then we'd have to buy them a new lawnmower.
Yes.
Or pay to get theirs fixed too.
Yes, which would not be ideal.
So you finished mowing the lawn, and then I heard you start our mower in the front yard. And I was like, dang it, our mower works now. We didn't need their mower. But to err on the side of caution, I got the name of some places to call for lawnmower service from family and friends. homes. None of them service Craftsman mowers.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
I don't know.
I remember when we first moved into this house in 2014, we put out a Facebook status asking for recommendations on lawnmowers. Pretty much everyone said Craftsman.
With the Honda engine. And
they recommended a Honda engine if you could spare the expense, but I don't think we
either couldn't spare the expense or they didn't have one at that Sears that we went to.
Yeah, and there was a Sears that was like 5 minutes away, believe it or not.
And so we bought this lawnmower. Both of us had 4-door sedans at the time, and we couldn't get the lawnmower in either of our cars.
It was in a really big box.
It was a very fun box. We probably could have taken it out of the box and gotten it in your car. I don't know why we didn't think of doing that.
Well, I don't think we had the tools for that because it was packaged pretty tightly.
Yeah, I don't know. So we hung out at Sears for a while, waiting for your dad to show up with the van. But luckily
with
for
his
us,
truck.
No, he had the van.
Oh, he had the van.
Because he had just picked Oma and Opa up from the airport or something. I think he had just picked Oma and Opa up from the airport.
He was at Oma and Opa's house. I don't remember why.
I'm pretty sure he had picked them up from the airport. So he had the van. And then he came and met us at Sears so he could drive our lawnmower to our new house.
That was pretty embarrassing, actually.
It was a little bit. We were in that parking lot for a while.
I had a itty bitty Toyota Camry.
I had an even smaller Honda Civic. So that would have been even less help.
So, whoops.
And then we bought the CRV. That was a few years later, though.
We bought that 2016, but...
So none of the places that I called off of recommendations would service our Craftsman. Because, like, the first thing I would say would be like, hey, wondering if you can do a tune-up and a blade sharpening on my Craftsman lawnmower. We don't service Craftsman. Okay, let me call the next place. Hey, I was wondering if we don't service Craftsman. Okay. So eventually I just got frustrated and Googled lawnmower repair near me. And I learned that there is like an itty bitty little industrial place at the back of a neighborhood that's near ours where there's a lawnmower repair shop and he services Craftsman, but it'll be 1 to 2 weeks before we get our mower back. As of Thursday when I dropped it off.
Have you heard from him or?
No, I'll be concerned when I haven't heard from him next Tuesday.
That seems very arbitrary.
Why? He said 1 to 2 weeks. That's 1.5 weeks since I dropped it off. Ish.
It's 1.5 weeks from a Thursday to a Tuesday? Or you mean 2 Tuesdays from now?
2 Tuesdays from now.
Oh.
Because next Thursday is 1 week, and then that Tuesday is a little over a week and a half, and I won't be at work, so it'll be easier to call.
Gotcha.
So he will service our mower. We will borrow Mom and Larry's mower when we mow the lawn, which we probably need to do soon. So we should probably coordinate when is a good time to borrow their mower so they don't need it first. But he said he'd be willing to service our mower. He said if it starts up just fine, he'll just do a standard tune-up. If it doesn't start up just fine, he will do some flushes and see if that makes it work. So fingers crossed, our mower will continue to work.
I would imagine it should because it's not that old.
It's not. It's only... So this is its 7th season. This will be the 2nd time that the oil has been changed in it, though.
Yeah, I don't know that changing oil in a lawnmower is super mainstream. I don't ever remember my dad ever doing that.
How much did you pay attention, though?
I don't know.
Because it really doesn't take very long. I did it in about half an hour.
Then why haven't we done it?
Because you have to buy the supplies. I have to figure out what spark plug we need because there's like 40 different kinds of spark plugs and make sure that I buy the right oil.
Yeah.
So many options. I went to the hardware store thinking, okay, maybe I can just buy a Craftsman service kit because I've done that before. But that was when Sears was still a thing.
I think Craftsman is owned by Lowe's now.
Yeah, so maybe if I would have gone to Lowe's instead of Home Depot, maybe next year. We'll see. Because technically you're supposed to change it every year.
Yeah, I don't think the average person does that, though.
They probably don't. But, I mean, even like every other year or every 3 years is better than never.
Well, a lawnmower, you don't use it like a car. Maybe if you have like a riding mower, you'll use that more.
No. I mean, you have to think about it too. It's the ratio of oil to engine is still the same as what you have in a car. So you should be changing it out because it's going to get gunky and dirty and stuff, especially because you're going to have long periods of your motor not doing anything. It's going to sit a lot more than your car will.
Yeah, you should, but
because your oil can go bad in your car just sitting there faster than if you're using it all the time because it starts to separate and stuff. I don't know. Steve is way better at explaining this than I am. So hopefully we'll have our mower back at some point in the near future. Otherwise, we will con somebody into letting us borrow their lawnmower so we can mow our lawn, or maybe con them into mowing our yard. I don't think that'll work though.
Steve and Hillary, if you're listening.
You want some exercise?
Yeah, but that is annoying about Craftsman. I don't even know what brand of lawnmower you get besides Craftsman.
Toro's a big one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I think John Deere just does riding mowers. I don't think they do any push mowers.
Honda does.
Honda does the motors. They don't do the lawnmower itself.
No, they don't.
No.
I don't know then.
I don't know either.
Hopefully we don't have to find out because even though we could bring it home, I don't want to buy a lawnmower.
At least it'll fit in whichever car we decide to take, even if there are kids in it.
Yeah, but I still don't want to do the research and buy it.
Well, but speaking of things that fit in the back of our cars, I got the little bistro set for our front porch today that I ordered on Sunday and then didn't notice that like an hour after I ordered it, I had a confirmation email saying I could pick it up. So
it's been sitting there since Sunday.
It's been sitting there since Sunday.
Whoops.
They sent me an email saying, please pick this up in the next 7 days or we're going to refund you your money and put it back in stock. And I was like, oh, I didn't know it was ready. So I currently have a bistro set in the back of the van that I'm hoping to be able to set up tomorrow. They're regular chairs, but they rock. So it's not like a rocking chair. It's like a regular chair that rocks. So I have a bistro set I'm hopefully going to set up tomorrow. We will see how that goes. I still have to pick out furniture for the backyard. Considering we're going to have people over in like 2 weeks, I should probably do that sooner rather than later.
Oh, you did get rid of the couch.
I did, but that makes it so we have more space.
People sat on that couch though.
I don't know why. I did not sit on that couch. I did not trust that couch.
Yeah, neither did I. Sorry, Molly.
No, Molly's totally fine with it. She said pitch it when we're done with it. I had already made sure she had no sentimental attachments to the couch. The dogs destroyed it. But it still looked fine. Like, the couch held up really well.
They destroyed the underbelly of the couch?
Yeah, and then...
And I shouldn't even say they, because it's one dog. And it's not Clara.
It was Zoe.
Clara didn't chew on anything.
She chewed on Zoe.
She chewed on Zoe, yes.
Zoe chewed on us, toys, and furniture. Clara chewed on Zoe, and we just let Zoe take care of that.
They still go at it every now and then.
They do. So I still have to buy furniture for the backyard, but at least I will have a nice little front porch-ish area. So on Tuesday, I went to Sam's Club with the kids. We had lots of fun going around, buying all of the food and lots of diapers. I discovered that at least the Sam's Club by us, does not carry size 6 Pampers.
What?
Yeah, they only go up to size 5 in Pampers. So...
Why?
I don't know, but they have size 6 Loves and Huggies. So I'm very confused.
Were they just out?
It didn't look like it because there wasn't a space. It was size 5 Pampers, and then it was a brand shift. It wasn't like there was an open cubby. So
Sam's Club is trash. They didn't carry pizza sauce?
They don't carry pizza sauce or pizza crust either.
That is so weird.
It's a warehouse store. They're only going to carry what sells because they're going to buy it by the pallet, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe they lied to you.
I just live here. I don't work there.
You asked some kid, right?
I asked somebody stocking shelves, and I asked somebody else stocking shelves.
And they both said no.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't want to deal with you.
That's also possible. I didn't want to deal with me, but there I was. I still have to put away all of the stuff that we bought. I think it's still in the library. This week has been crazy. So my Fitbit, I think last week we talked about how my Fitbit died, but didn't die. So the screen stopped working, but it continued to work.
It's cracked too.
And then, yes, but it wasn't cracked when it stopped working, or at least it wasn't visibly cracked when the screen stopped working. So then I had my Fitbit sitting on the counter, and we're not sure if Like Lily grabbed it and threw it, or something happened where it dropped and the screen was cracked. So I was like, yay, I really, really need to buy a new something because this could turn dangerous. So I now am the proud owner of a Garmin 45S. I like it. It judges me though for being stressed all the time, so that's fun. And that arrived on Thursday.
What does that mean? You're stressed all the time. What is...
So let's see here. If I look at my stats for today, let it update. I have had 4 hours and 22 minutes of rest, 1 hour and 52 minutes of low stress, 4 hours and 8 minutes of medium stress. And this updated when I was in the middle of telling you things, but low and rest didn't change. 6 hours and 5 minutes of high stress. I don't know what that means.
It doesn't tell you?
It says you have had very few restful moments today. Remember to slow down and relax to keep yourself going. How am I supposed to slow down and relax as a mother? Chasing around a toddler. All she did today was run.
Does that just mean your heart was pounding more? Like you were exercising?
I don't know. I don't understand.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, I feel like a fitness tracker should tell you to move.
I would think so too.
How does it know that you're stressed?
I don't know.
Stress is an emotion. Is the AI in our heads?
Maybe I already have a Neuralink?
Oh man.
In addition to my new fitness tracker, we got our Walk to Sesame Street shirts today. So those are in the wash where I will get laundry done eventually. I don't know. Life got more stressful. Laundry is not a priority, but we kind of need clothes. So we
technically,
can go out of the house.
you need clothes. You're the only one that's working
This is true.
outside of this house.
Yeah. You can just kind of spray Febreze on stuff and you'll be fine because nobody has to smell you. I have to interact with real life people on a daily basis now. Well, on 3 days a week, I have to deal with people. But of course, my new fitness tracker came in after I did a ridiculously long walk with Hillary in the morning. So Hillary had a late...
That was on Thursday.
That was on Thursday, yeah. So Thursday, Hillary had a late client. Well, later. Her first client was at 11 a.m. So she asked me, hey, do you want to get together and walk before my first client? And I said, sure. So we did most of their normal neighborhood route. And we got to a point where she said, okay, we can either go to Starbucks or we can wind through the neighborhood to end up back at our house. And I was like, Starbucks.
Because nothing says
I'm going to lose weight and get fit like a venti mocha cookie crumble frappuccino with 3 shots of espresso instead of the frappuccino coffee and an extra 2 shots of white mocha syrup.
What?
I had a free drink.
What did you even say? Are those words?
They are yummy, delicious words.
Is this the purple hair talking?
No, I ordered these before I dyed my hair purple. You know this. I've made you order them for me before. Use your free stars wisely. But it was really nifty because up until Thursday, I had seen 0 cicadas in the wild. I had seen lots of pictures on Facebook of people saying they're here and pictures of empty shells, pictures of cicadas hatching from said empty shells. And as we're walking through the neighborhood, I see a telephone pole that is covered in cicada shells.
So technically you didn't see them in the wild.
No. And cicadas.
Oh, you did see live cicadas.
Yes. And there was one walking on the ground that looked like it had a wing and a half. Like one of its wings was not all the way there. A few of them were smushed.
Poor guys.
A few of them looked like they had been, maybe some of them had been eaten already. I don't know. It seemed like there was not a super high percentage of them that were making it to actually flying away. I think a lot of them got smushed and or eaten before they made it anywhere. Which is why they have to have like millions of them hatch at the same time because half of them just die because they're so slow and stupid.
And loud.
Yeah.
But that happens later.
Yeah. So when we left Starbucks, we're like, okay, we have to go straight to your house. And her first client was at 11. We got to her driveway at 10:53. So she kind of helped me put the kids in the car. And we were starting to strap Lily into her car seat. And Steven walks outside and says, hey, are you gonna get on your computer? Don't you have a client at 11? And we're like, yeah, she's got 3 minutes. It's fine. The other counselor can work with the kids first, because fortunately for her, it was also a co-treat person, so she didn't have to be there right away when the meeting started, but she did make it in time. And on Thursday, I was trying to stay around the house because you were supposed to get a package.
Oh, but I didn't get the package until Friday.
You didn't. It was lame.
They rescheduled it when you were on your walk.
It's like they didn't even try.
So I got a package from work because we're all home and not in the office because of COVID. Although that is changing shortly. I guess on a voluntary basis, they are opening up select offices and they're going very slow because they're being cautious. But because we're all home and we do communications and there's a crisis, there's been an ongoing crisis with COVID and we all work super hard. They're trying to bribe us and buy our happiness. So every now and then they send us something that's, for like Halloween, they sent like a bunch of candy.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
They shouldn't try to buy your affection. Send us more things.
And for summer, they sent us gourmet popsicles. And I believe it's from a company that's based in Florida. And believe it or not, the popsicles were frozen because they had a bunch of dry ice in them. Yeah, I didn't know you could like send popsicles places from Florida to Ohio.
I didn't know that either.
I know they send graters.
Yeah, they'll ship graters.
I'm assuming that's like a more tight box and that's easier to keep cold than a popsicle. But they did it and it was probably a 12 gourmet popsicles with weird flavors. There's a pistachio flavored popsicle.
Which that'll be mine because you definitely won't eat that.
I had what did I have? It was like blueberry something.
I'm not sure, but you gave me a mango mint julep one. That was yummy. Lily didn't like it though. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I just had a pineapple orange one to go along with my what I'm drinking, and it was very tasty. They complemented each other very well.
Yeah. The popsicles are good. Some weird flavors. There's like a blueberry cinnamon one.
It's very hipster.
Yeah.
And they're definitely based in Florida. They have multiple locations.
So yeah, it's well known in Florida. And they ship we have workers in Cincinnati. We have one in Seattle. I'm assuming he got it.
I'd assume so as well.
That's like the complete opposite side of the country. But they packed it with dry ice, and believe it or not, I have never played with dry ice. I know that dry ice mixed with water creates fog, quote, quote, because in an episode of Scooby-Doo, that's what the bad guy did. They used dry ice to create fog.
Yeah.
Like old school Scooby-Doo, like the original. I think it was like the Pirate Ghost or something.
Oh, yeah, because dry ice is what they used to use in like fog machines and stuff. So yeah, it's a solid form of carbon dioxide. So instead of being solid H2O, it's solid carbon dioxide. So don't breathe the gas, but you can make your own bubbly water with it. If you would have drank the water after all the dry ice was done, it would have been bubbly water. It would have tasted weird bubbly water though.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. I don't know a lot about like the science, but I do know that it creates fog when you mix it with water and you're not supposed to touch it.
Yeah. So these popsicles arrived on Friday when I was at work, and Lily and Elliot were at your mom's, and Lily at least was having a nap strike because who needs naps? But at least we figured out that the parent unit was with your parents and the kid unit was with Lily, so she wasn't hearing everything that they said.
Because last week, that was the issue.
That was why Lily didn't nap.
With the supposed nap strike.
It's hard to nap when people are talking in your ear.
Yeah, and my mom talks not quiet. Let's put it that way.
So, not knowing that there was a nap strike, because we were not told until I was taking the child out of the house practically, we decided that we were going to meet up for dinner at Taft's Brewporium, which is Taft Brewing's production space that has a pizza. I don't know if it's wood-fired pizza, but it's really yummy. It's at least brick oven pizza attached to it. And it's really close to the train tracks, so you can watch trains go by, which we thought Lily would be super interested in.
She would have, but
she was She was crazy, Lily?
She was seeing purple elephants or pink elephants or...
There was dancing involved for sure of whatever creatures it was she was seeing. She actually fell asleep in the van on the way, and it's not a very long drive to get there from your parents' house.
No, it's like 10 minutes, right?
Probably closer to 15, but I was very surprised she had fallen asleep and then very concerned that she had fallen asleep because that meant that she would be very cranky and hard to tame, and she kind of was. But I had a beer, you had 2 beers, one of which while you were waiting for us to show up. So it was a nice, calm, quiet beer. And Elliot did pretty good.
Well, yeah.
He was your favorite child that day. Lily only threw a little bit of her food on the floor, but she definitely was not all there and was very easy to put to bed Friday night. Lily, of course, woke up early because that's what you do when you just decide that you're not going to nap, but go to bed at your normal time.
I think technically she woke up at 6:30 and we ignored her.
It might have. She was taken out of her pack and play about 7-ish because she currently sleeps in a pack and play in her room.
Because Eli kicked her out of her room, her old room.
Yeah. He was getting too big for the bassinet, and he's sleeping through the night, so he doesn't necessarily need to sleep in our room. So we can have more of our nighttime routine back and not have to tiptoe around the bedroom because he goes to bed like 4 hours before we do.
I mean, we did not have to tiptoe.
We didn't really have to tiptoe around either of our children. We still don't really have to tiptoe around them. We can like routinely put away laundry and stuff in the middle of their nap time, and they don't notice or care.
So I woke up with Lily and we watched her favorite 101 Dalmatians. And then we went to get coffee at White Oak Coffee House.
So yummy.
And then we went to Caroline's mom's house, which was right around the corner, to pick up a twin mattress because she is doing some spring cleaning at her house, and our neighbors wanted the mattress.
So I've had that mattress for a while, but it's been used for half, if not less than half of the years that we had it, because I haven't used it since I moved out, which was almost 7 years ago at this point. And there was a good stretch of time where I was actually sleeping on a futon because that was a great idea. So yeah, so it's not like a super used mattress. So we packed it up in the van, and before we packed up the kids, we saw my mom's neighbor and we said, hey, you want to come over and say hi to Lily and Elliot? Because she hadn't met Elliot yet and hadn't seen Lily in forever. And so she came over and she got to say hi to the kids, was very amazed at how big Elliot was and how much he had control over his body, because he's really working on that. He wants to look at what he wants to look at, not what you make him look at. He's trying to like stand up more the way that like little babies do, where they're just working their legs out. And Lily was running circles in mom's house, playing with some plastic cups and bowls that are in Lily's cabinet. And fortunately, we think she wore herself out physically and mentally doing all of this because she fell asleep in the van on the way home, which was good. That's what we wanted her to do. So we dropped off the mattress, and Elliot, you and Elliot had some wonderful male bonding time where there was zero screaming involved.
False. Fact
Sunshine
check.
and rainbows all around.
Fact check. False. That kid was sleeping for like 30 seconds in the car seat, and then I took him out, changed his diaper, warmed up the bottle. He cried between that. I gave him probably 3 ounces of milk out of the 6 ounces that you left me, but he did not want any more, and he just screamed. He just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried.
When I got home, he was quiet, so...
Well, when you screamed for 20 minutes straight, and I decided to change your diaper because it's wet, and then you look at me all cute-like, and you coo, and you're like, hi, Dad, you're my favorite, and then all of a sudden you scream for another 20 minutes straight. Maybe that's a little tiring.
All the while, Mom is driving to Menards to pick up this furniture that's been there for a week. So
he screamed most of the time, and he's on my you-know-what list. You and Lily came home, and I'm like, Lily, you're my favorite child.
And then she started crying.
And then Clara became my favorite child. Because Zoe, likes to cry now too because she wants to go outside and eat the bugs.
Yep.
Specifically the cicadas.
So everybody had snack time, and then we loaded up in the van again to go to my friend's house for her birthday party, which Lily did not want to leave at all. I'm hoping we can
borrow.
Yes, increase the use of two amazing items that my friend acquired recently. One of which is a blow-up water slide. The other of which is a small bounce house. So she acquired both of these things on discounts. She was going to look into renting either a bounce house or a water slide, like a blow-up water slide, and then discovered that it was about the same price to buy a cheap one that it was going to be to rent one. So she was like, why would I rent one when I can buy one and use it whenever I want?
So let's take a step back. When you say water slide, you don't mean like a itty-bitty...
No, this is as tall as me. Like the platform where the kids slide down from is as tall as me.
I was looking at the house. She has a 2-story house. It was up there. It was probably 1 story.
I mean, so it had like a little netted roof thing on top of it for like shade. That was pretty tall, but the platform itself was as tall as me because I could pretty much look across it when I was next to it. So it wasn't like an itty bitty water slide. It was relatively big, but I couldn't go up it because like I leaned on it and it was not happy about it. Yeah. So it's definitely meant for small children. It had a bucket at the top that would fill with water and then dump to keep the water slide wet. And all of the children were terrified of that feature, including Lily. Because I put Lily up at the top of the water slide and was like, okay, Lily, go down the water slide. And she just kind of stood there and looked at it and was like, I don't want to do that. So I had to help her get back down. We figured out how to turn off the dumpy bucket part of it. And then it was a free-for-all. There were only 3 children there because it was the same 3 kids that were there at Easter, Lily and then 2 other girls. And it was just a constant circle of them going down the water slide. But unfortunately for Lily, she couldn't climb up the water slide. So one of us would have to help push her up onto the platform. It was kind of like a rock wall to get up it. Like it had little pockets that you could put your feet and your hands in. And she doesn't quite know how to work those yet. So you had to put her up there on the top platform.
Not for lack of trying. I mean, she wanted to do it.
She did want to do it. 2 or 3 times she held a ball while we put her up there and she would push the ball down the water slide first and just giggle. The older girl would go down on her belly. So Lily tried to do that too. It was kind of questionable, but she had fun. She was safe. And then she turned purple.
Yeah, that water was really cold.
It was because it was hose water. So it was like straight cold tap water. And it's warm outside, but it's not like super warm.
It's late in the day, so the sun isn't
super intense. It's at an angle, so you're mostly shaded.
Yeah.
So we bring Lily in for a little bit to get her a snack. She's not happy about that, but is super happy to go back out to play in the water. It was probably about 5 o'clock. We're like, okay, you are done with the water. No more water. We're going to put you in people clothes. Your lips are literally purple.
Toenails are purple.
Your toes are turning purple too. You're shivering like crazy. We need to get you dry and put you in people clothes and get some actual food into you. So we give her some actual food after we get her dressed. She's bummed that she can't go back onto the water slide, but we get her in the bounce house. She learns what a bounce house is and had a blast with that. She had a little playhouse that she played in. About 6:10, I told the other girls, I was like, okay, you have another 5 minutes with the water slide and then it's going to go away. And they're like, what? And by this point, the whole front yard is completely shaded. They're probably turning purple too, but don't want to admit it. And I'm like, yep, that's my call. 5 minutes, it goes away. And so then they didn't want to put on people clothes, but they started to dry off as they were playing around in the front yard and hung out with Lily in her little playhouse for a bit before Lily kind of started to get really tired and we decided it was time to head home. But they had a blast. I'm going to see if I can borrow the water slide for my birthday party for all the kids. We're at least going to borrow it for Lily's birthday party because she'll be a lot better at using it by then too. We're going to get her money's worth out of this thing.
That does it for all of our adventures for the week.
Yep.
So now it's time for What's Bugging Caroline in Children's TV? Caroline, what's bugging you in Children's TV?
Okay.
Should we sit down for this?
You should probably sit down for this.
All right.
So Donald used to be in the Navy, so he knows how to run boats and stuff. So Donald has a boat, and they need to cross a river. So everybody gets in the boat. It is Mickey, Goofy, and Coco the monkey that are all sitting in a row on this boat.
It's a pretty decently sized boat.
It is a pretty decently sized boat. It's like almost as wide as the river that they're trying to cross.
It's not like it's a rowboat.
No, it's a motorboat. And all of a sudden, Mickey, Goofy, and Coco the monkey are floating up in the air. There are 3 holes in the boat directly underneath their butts. And the water pressure is so great that even though they're still sitting down, they're like 2 feet above the bottom of the boat. Like they are in the air.
That's okay,
because of
though.
this water pressure.
I'm okay with that. It's a cartoon.
Yeah, like, okay. Comedic relief. I get it. So we look at our Mousecatools. The Mousecatools that we have left are not going to help us. So let's use the mystery Mousecatool. It's ice cream cones. We can use the pointy cones as plugs because we can do that with mushy. Like they're waffle cones. So yeah, the show is on drugs. Do the ice cream cones in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse not get soggy? Why can't we just use cone-shaped blocks? Because they use blocks for like everything else. Or a baby elephant. Like there are way too many times one of the Mousecatools is a baby elephant and it's, oh, this baby elephant will blow up all of our balloons for us. Oh, they can use their trunk like a shower. Or they can spray air with their trunk to dry this thing off. I mean, at least when they did their beach episode and one of the Mousecatools was a hippo, that kind of made sense because the hippo did a cannonball into the water to make waves. But like really the show's on drugs.
Yes, but Lily likes it and that's all that matters.
Lily likes it. Yeah, that's the important thing. She likes to do her hot dog dance every night. Tonight, she was so tired, we didn't watch an episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. We just watched the hot dog dance. And then we went to bed.
We tricked you, Lily.
It is pretty easy at this point. I mean, we probably didn't even need to watch the hot dog dance. We probably could have just given her milk and put her in her pack and play, and she would have conked.
So, Caroline, I noticed that you have an adult beverage.
I do.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Listerman Brewing and Street Pops collaboration Orange Creamsicle, which is a popsicle sour ale. It's 6.4% ABV and has 0 IBUs because it's a sour beer. It doesn't have a description, but it's pretty tasty and went very well with my pineapple orange popsicle that I had right before we wanted to start recording. I delayed recording today so I could eat a popsicle. So Street Pops is an all-natural, small-batch gourmet popsicle place. I might have had one of their popsicles at Westside Market. I don't remember. I had a gourmet popsicle at Westside Market at some point. It might have been a Street Pop. That was like 2 years ago at this point, so I don't know. What you drinking?
Well, I dug deep into the beer fridge, or the OG beer fridge.
Oh yeah, we are working on replacing that. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow.
I won't hold my breath.
I won't either.
But I found a Taft's Brewing Maverick Chocolate Porter. So good. It is, and the complete opposite of what you're drinking.
It totally is.
Yours is like fruity and juicy and refreshing. Mine is dark and chocolatey.
It's like my soul.
Anyway, so it's 5.5 ABV and 23 IBUs. And the description is brown porter brewed with cacao. It's a brown porter brewed with cacao nibs and roasted cacao husks from our friends at Maverick Chocolate.
Maverick Chocolate.
Dark and aromatic. And this is one of their main beers, I think. Is it, or is it a seasonal?
It's a main beer. I don't think it's a seasonal because I'm pretty sure we can find it all year round.
At least on draft, it is an all year round beer. Not sure about the packaging necessarily. It is really good. It's one of my favorites from them. They also do a really good Cherrywood Amber. Fantastic beer.
I like me some Taft. I like me a lot of local breweries, so I should probably just like blanket statement. I like all greater Cincinnati breweries because I do. But like whatever one's in front of me is the one that I'm currently thinking about. So like Listerman and Taft's, totally awesome breweries. But so are like Westside and Brink and Fretboard. And I'm trying to think of breweries that aren't closed anymore because I was going to say Old Firehouse, but Old Firehouse Sad Panda doesn't exist anymore.
But something is supposedly going into it.
I'm excited. Oh, yeah, I forget what it is. But I said I really hope that they let dogs in. But I mean, they still had a pretty good patio space where we could hang out with the dogs. Because we would use that as our stopping point on Friday night to order some pizza and just chill before we got to the house.
When going to the farm.
Yes, when we're going to the family farm. Like that time we went in October for our cabin in the woods that's not in the woods, where the power was out and it was foggy.
And we had to use a generator to get the heat on.
But by the time they got the heat working, the power kicked back on. It was interesting. That was a fun night. I like our cabin in the woods events.
Yeah, and we bought like a bunch of candles.
We bought a bunch of candles and flashlights. I mean, we used the candles as commemorative presents to everyone that was there.
Well, if we didn't call the caretaker out there before we got to the Kroger in Mount Orb.
Yeah, we would have been screwed.
We would have been screwed. Because we called like as a courtesy.
Like, hey, we're going to be there in like 20 minutes. There isn't any power right now. Oh.
That's a problem.
We'll be there in like 25 minutes then. Let me run through this Kroger marketplace.
And it was raining too.
It was a very spoopy, like Friday the 13th vibes.
There's that spoopy again.
Your wife is turning into a basic.
I don't know what that means. You won't explain what it means.
I have explained what it means. It means White Claws and vacay all day.
The spoopy?
Oh, spoopy? It's like spooky, but not so spooky.
Yeah, you won't explain.
It's an internet slang term used to describe something that is spooky, but in a comical or cute way, such as a puppy in a ghost costume or a goofy Halloween video. It is based on a viral picture of a Halloween decoration that misspelled spooky as spoopy.
Is that Urban Dictionary?
No, it's dictionary.com.
Wow. Dictionary.com went legit. Or went not legit, I guess.
Did we talk about our vacation Urban Dictionary reference? I don't think we did.
I'm afraid. What are you talking about?
So when we were on vacation, we had a date night where we went to this relatively fancy restaurant, and the person sitting behind you, it was a couple, and I'm like 95% sure that the husband is an ophthalmologist and his wife just kind of tolerates him talking about work, because at some point he was talking about work.
You were listening to the couple behind us more than you were listening to me.
I don't think you were saying anything at the time, but possibly.
Wow.
So I guess he sent a picture of him and his wife to his son, and his son said something along the lines of, "That shirt makes you look swole." And he was like, "I don't know what that means," like to his wife. And I guess he texted his son that too. And meanwhile, I'm just laughing because he's like, "Does it mean I look swollen? I don't understand." And his son basically says, "You need to read all of Urban Dictionary," which I do not recommend doing because Urban Dictionary is scary sometimes. If there is anything that you loved in your childhood, do not Urban Dictionary it, because Urban Dictionary will ruin your childhood by turning it into something that is dirty. So then he explains to his father that basically it means that you look good.
Swole means you look good?
I said he basically... It means you look ripped, like your muscles are swollen because you're very strong and fit. And I am miming things right now that works great in an audio format. So at least I'm pretty sure on this. I have not Urban Dictionaried it. I can do that now if you would like.
No, I just did, and that's pretty accurate.
I am hipping with it. Yay.
But I didn't know that swole meant muscular. You literally said, "My feet are swole," like every 5 seconds when you were pregnant.
Because my feet were very swollen. And I was making pretend like I looked sexy. Pregnancy makes my ankles very swollen.
But not muscular.
No.
So...
I was not using the term correctly according to Urban Dictionary. I don't care. I'm almost old. I can do what I want. I am more than halfway to my AARP card.
By the time this episode airs, you will be old because we celebrated you getting old last week.
This is true. Dang it. When can I get my golden Buckeye?
55. They're probably going to get rid of it. The baby boomers will probably ruin it.
You gotta be 60. If you have a current Ohio driver's license or state ID card, you should automatically receive your golden Buckeye card. Look for it during the month before your 60th birthday.
We were talking about our drinks.
We were. Hey, in the intro for the show, we literally say, and see where the conversation takes us. Sometimes we don't even know until we get there. hey, look, now we know because we got there. And the real friends were the ones we made along the way. I don't know.
Urban Dictionary is not my friend, and I am
just
going to ignore that.
Turn off the internet.
Yes. So cheers to the weekend, and Lord help us in the week ahead, because starting tomorrow, we're going to have to do it all over again.
And eventually we'll get back on topic so we can finish this episode.
Yes. More crazy adventures are ahead, and we will make sure to share them with you each week right here on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
So it happened. They finally made me do it. I had to reintegrate into society. I had to wear real people clothes.
You had to wear pants.
I had to wear pants and talk to adults like an adult. I had to make important decisions.
You had to drive through rush hour traffic.
I mean, I'd hesitate to call it rush hour traffic at this point because we're still in the nice pandemic traffic where most of the non-essentials still aren't on the road. Traffic is getting slightly worse, but it's still not pre-pandemic traffic. So that's nice.
And you even leave like super late too.
Well, my goal is to get to work at 8 a.m. I've been back in the office for 2 weeks and that has not happened yet. Now, granted, I'm only in the office 3 days a week. So it's only 6 chances. Like really, I should have 10 chances. Maybe on Monday I can get to work before 8.
Don't hold your breath.
I'm not.
You stall a lot.
Elliot's so cute. I like my snuggles.
A lot of times Lily isn't even up. Or if she is, I am upstairs with her.
Well, so on Mondays, all I have to do is wake up Elliot. Lily can sleep in because Mom's coming over to the house. But on Wednesdays and Fridays, the kids have to leave the house. So we have to get them both up and ready to go at the same time. And then I have to pack my stuff for work as I'm packing their stuff for the sitter. So that makes me more delayed. I really should start prepping more before I go to bed.
Nah.
But I fall asleep on the couch. So it's one day I will have my act together. Maybe. I'll think about it. So I'm back in the office. I was missed. I was forgotten. I think some people didn't entirely realize that I had left.
That's annoying.
Yeah. But I definitely got a few new girl jokes because I had a long absence. And also I changed my hair color, which a lot of people didn't notice at first. So I think my hairdresser did a fantastic job doing my hair because it's not like glaringly like in your face alarm beacons. This chick has purple hair. It's subtle and classy.
It's not subtle. I don't know how they miss it.
They also don't spend as much time with me as you do. So I hit the ground running. Fortunately, I had IT reset my password before we left on vacation. So I didn't have to think about work at all on my vacation. But also I completely forgot what my password was. I don't remember whether or not I changed my password before I left the office because I left on Friday and I know my password was set to expire on Monday. So I can't remember whether or not I changed my password before I left. And even if I did change my password, I couldn't remember what my password was before I left. So I was like, hey, IT, just reset my password for me and I'll come up with a new one. Unless it tells me that I can't use it because that was in fact my old password. So I did that, but I had to basically hit the ground running. It was here, I need you to work on this project right now and work on clearing out this folder of active things because I'm going to be putting out some fires. And oh, by the way, which I don't even think I learned until like 3/4 of the day, the co-op's first day of the semester is today.
Surprise.
Yeah, so not only was I trying to figure out what was going on, our co-ops were also trying to figure out what was going on. And right now we have 2 co-ops, one who is returning and one who is new. So the new guy knows nothing. So I'm like, I don't know what you've been trained on so far. I'm going to pretend like you've been trained on nothing and we'll go from there. And he was like, good, because I haven't been trained on anything yet. So it worked out. And I had to talk to the coworker who took my standing desk before I left on maternity leave to learn that he did in fact still want my standing desk. So that's his now. And I ordered a new one. I sent the purchase rec to his boss and said, hey, you got to order this for me because your employees took it from me. And it was there on Friday. It was nice.
It was there on last Friday or 2 Fridays. We had this conversation last week.
Yeah. So last week my new standing desk showed up, but I had to get it ordered. Well, yeah. So
did you set it up?
I had the co-op set it up on Monday. That's right. So on Monday I was like, hey, new co-op who needs things to do. Assemble my standing desk. If he doesn't do it, then I have to do it. Therefore, it's engineering work. Also, I needed something that I could have him do while I was trying to find something for him to do. That's the way this works. And then I also learned I had to find a task for our interns that are only there for half a day. Like they're only there for half a day during the week. So
They're
like, hey,
there 1/2 day for the entire week?
No, so they're there from 1 to 5 every day.
Oh, gotcha.
But I had to find work for them to do as well and train them as well. So that was fun. I think they're doing well. They were assembling a workstation when I saw them on Friday. So we're finding things for them to do. I got access to our company gym, but I still haven't used it yet. The goal is to use it before I clock in or before I head home to see the kids. But so far work has been pretty crazy. Though according to my coworker, it's gotten better since I came back. Because she said she had like 2 weeks where she worked 10-hour days because there was so much stuff to do.
Because you weren't there?
Yep. She's like, I have a newfound appreciation for the things that you do. And then since I'm not there all the time, Emilio has started to bring her into training the co-ops as well. And she's like, yeah, also newfound appreciation with how you train people. Because I forget a lot of things. And I was like, here, let me send you the files that I use. Because I just write all this stuff down so I remember what I need to do. So yeah, lots and lots of training other people. And then I have to get up to date on all of our projects. So before I left, there were like 2 big projects that I was involved in, mostly on like a project management more capacity than like actually doing things with the project. And one of the projects literally went 180 with how we're handling it. When I was gone. So originally we had made new test systems and we were going to move equipment from one building to the other building so that everything that used those test systems was in the same building. Now we're no longer moving that equipment. We're just duplicating the test systems. So instead of doing the thing that we were planning on doing when I left, we're just building another one. Which is good because originally we didn't think we were going to have the budget to build another system because it's expensive, but we're doing that now. So that's good. But I didn't learn that until after I got back. Because I was like, hey, have we moved that equipment yet? No. And we're not going to. So that was fun. Let's see here. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, apparently I'm in charge of all of the things, according to the owner. I don't know. I see the owner a lot more than I used to, and he asked me the status of projects that I am only tangentially involved in, if I'm involved in them at all. So I just get to be an expert on all of the things again.
At least he knows who you are and that you're good.
I mean, it is good that he's like asking me questions and like thinking that I have more of a role on these projects than I do. Maybe that means I can get a raise? I don't know. I mean, my review's coming up soon, so I'll get a raise soon maybe anyway. I don't know. But I mean, that means that they're more likely to keep me around. I mean, I'm assuming the owner wouldn't interact with me in such a nice capacity if they were like, we're going to fire this chick. So, but also I was very missed. Like they're like, yay, you're back. Help us fix all of the things because half of my job is fixing all of the things.
Yes.
So, but anyways, the owner asked me a question about the interns that we're starting the next week. Like, hey, what projects are they going to do and where are they going to sit and when do they start and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, At this point, I only knew that we were getting 2 interns and they were starting on Monday. And I was like, well, they start on Monday. I don't know where they're going to sit, but I can talk to someone about that and have them get back to you. And that is what I did. So, and then he bugged me for a week about whether or not I had used the gym yet. And I was like, I'm trying, but I got all this work to do and baby snuggles are important. So spend 15 minutes in the gym or spend 15 minutes snuggling Elliot. I think I'm going to snuggle Elliot instead. And then I remembered how annoying salesmen were when I got back. So I have a little quiet room is what the sign in the window says, because I had to put a sign in the window when someone tried to break into the room one day when I was in there. This was after I had Lily.
For Lily. Okay.
Yeah. So HR was walking around handing out something, and I was hanging out in my little room, and I had the door locked, and there's a knock on the door, and somebody tries to get in, and there's another knock on the door, and somebody tries to get in, and I'm like, can I help you? Like, I really can't help you right now. Please go away. I'm not who you think I am. Like, I ran into HR later, and he was like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. I thought that it was somebody else's office, and then somebody walked by and was like, hey, this office. And I was like, oh, yeah, whoops, super awkward. And like, whole situation was awkward, but like the conversation was 20 times more awkward. And I'm like, you're HR?
I do find it funny that your HR guy
like,
tried to break in.
He's the one that assigned me that room. He should know. So I'm not the only person that has used that room, but I'm assuming the room has been out of use for a little bit. But I came back and I started using my room again. I wiped everything down because salesman. And I don't know exactly who else has been using it. So I it wasn't even, I don't even think it was the beginning of the day. I want to say it was the middle of the day. So I had used my room in the morning and I was getting ready to use it again in the afternoon. And I walk in and there's stuff on the table that's not mine. And I'm like, what do I do with this? Like, the other half of the table is full of my stuff. It's not like the space is unoccupied. Like, there isn't physically a person in the room, but the door was closed and there was stuff on the desk when I left it. So I take the stuff. Well, I ask you, I'm like, hey, what should I do with this stuff? Should I just lock the door? Because one of the things is a hotel room key. So I'm like, somebody obviously needs this at some point. So I'm like, do I just lock the door with the stuff in the room? Do I throw the stuff away? Do I set it outside the door?
I was a very smart ass about it.
Yeah.
What did I say?
What day of the week was this? I don't even remember.
I think I said, do you have an intranet?
Oh, yeah. You said to post it on the company's intranet. And I'm like, we can't do that with our intranet. Maybe one day.
My mom, she works at
a Fortune 500 company. Are they a Fortune 100 company?
Probably.
She works for a very big company.
Yes, and they have message boards of people selling stuff.
That's crazy.
All the time, like furniture and who knows what else. Just crazy stuff. So my suggestion was put it on the company.
Who left their shiznit in my office space?
No, my idea was to sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Make the guy pay for it.
So I was like, what? So I was like, well, there's a conference room that's kind of tangential to my room. It's a salesman conference room. So like, it's still in the sales department. So I just put it on that desk and locked the door, and fortunately nobody bothered me. And then I noticed my pen was missing. So in addition, that I had used that morning. So like, the pen was there and then it was no longer there.
Someone stole your pen?
They did.
Did you find out who?
No. I mean, it was a free pen, so I'm probably having like too much rage over a free pen.
You should send it. Can you send an email to the entire company?
I can, but I won't. I'm not that petty.
That's probably a good idea.
So I'm like, well, thankfully I have another pen in my bag, but now I have to remember to get another pen. So I have a backup pen and I leave so I can finish up my work for the day and notice that the stuff is no longer in the conference room. So they found their stuff or someone else found their stuff and took it. I don't know. I washed my hands of it, but I was like, really? My space. Go away. But yeah, and definitely the room hasn't been used for a while because the cleaning staff had not emptied the garbage can because they forgot that the garbage can existed because nobody had used it for a while. So I have to remember to leave the door open one night so they come and clean it.
Hopefully they are actually cleaning it.
They are. So like, they're cleaning the rest of the building. I had the same issue when I first started using the room because I put a garbage can in the room, but the door was always closed and they don't like open up doors unless if they like know that they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So I have to leave the door open so that they see that, oh, hey, there is stuff in this garbage can. We should clean this up, and then they'll add it back to their schedule. I still have a bunch of meetings so I can catch up on projects that either made progress or did not make progress while I was gone. And I've been back for 2 weeks now. I have made like 0 progress on long-term projects. Hopefully that will change soon. But right now we're just kind of staying afloat with day-to-day tasks and putting out fires. Because equipment, of course, has broken since I got back. So got to get that fixed before we start digging into new things.
Are you the only one that can fix equipment?
Technically, no. In reality, apparently. So I love my coworkers. I love the other engineers. But sometimes I just wonder what they're thinking. Sometimes I wonder if they're thinking.
So do they attempt to fix it and then it's wrong?
Yeah, or they just don't know how to research well enough to find parts that will actually work, or they just don't ask the right people questions. So a piece of equipment broke on Wednesday, but it didn't break in a way where we couldn't use it anymore. It was just like a cosmetic / slightly annoying way that it broke.
Mm-hmm.
And it was late enough in the day on Wednesday that I wasn't able to go over and look into it at all before I left. So on Thursday, they half-heartedly attempted to look into it so they could get parts on order so we could fix it on Friday. They're like, we think this is what we need, but we're not sure. I'm digging into it and I see another engineer and I'm like, hey, have some questions for you. Like, I just want to talk at you about this project because I like to bounce stuff off of people. And I'm like, this is what I think that we need. This is what I think we're going to do. And he's like, wait, you're super overthinking this. Here are 2 part numbers in the system that'll be really easy to order, and just go to this website and this first thing that pops up in the search is exactly what you need. So order these 3 things with this company. They'll be here on Monday and you can just put everything back together on Monday. So a 10 to 20 minute conversation got everything that I needed. And I don't know if just other people don't do that.
They probably don't know who to talk to.
I mean, I didn't necessarily talk to him because I thought he was going to solve my problem. One of the ways that I work out things, and I'll do this to you all the time, I'm like, I'm going to talk at you about what I'm going to do to try to fix this thing. I don't necessarily need to talk like with you where you're fully understanding what it is that I'm saying, but just me talking to you helps me see if I have any holes in my process, or wait, let me take 3 steps back. Talking to you, I think I just thought of a better way to fix this. So that's all I was really expecting to do.
Yeah, part of it is you have something going on in your mind. You do this all the time with like creative writing or any kind of writing, really. You write, you think what you want to write, you write it down, and you're supposed to read it out loud so that you hear what you're writing. So when you vocalize your plan or your solution to a problem, you hear what you're thinking and then you can understand it better.
Yeah, so I'll do that a lot with other engineers. Just like, hey, you're here, let's spitball this. Or just, you have some time so I can maybe process this a bit better, or at least get your opinion on it. And so we found a cheaper and better thing to buy that would be there quicker than the thing that they were originally planning on buying. Because I mean, part of it too is that since I deal a little bit with everything, I don't know as much about individual components that we get. So this engineer had dealt with a lot of electrical stuff before. He knew better about how all this stuff went together. So he was like, yes, but no. Here's all you need to do. You're super overthinking this. So I learned some stuff. And then I shared that information with other people on our team as well. And so I also learned that the table that I was fixing was super over-engineered. So what we do now when we do dedicated workstations is we buy a wooden top for our tables, and we can cut holes into it and we can screw things into it. And if we super don't like the setup, or we decide that we don't need this table anymore, we can take the top off, put on a new top, and without having to buy a whole new table, we now have a new workstation, or like a newly purposed workstation. The workstation that I was working on is a metal workbench that they had cut holes into and welded little electrical boxes to it, essentially. So instead of just having their electrical components kind of hanging out in space, but not really hanging out in space, they welded boxes around them, sent the whole table out to get painted, brought the whole table back, hooked all of the equipment up to it, and instead of using flexible tubing for the pneumatics, it's custom hard line. So somebody spent, and I know who it was, spent hours bending the tubes for the pneumatics on this table.
Oh boy.
It looks really awesome, but it is way over engineered for what it needs to be.
Does it work though?
It works.
All right.
For now. When the parts come in on Monday, we're going to have some powwows with my whole group because my group works typically the most on customized workstations. We're going to have a powwow with the co-ops and everybody in the group about what they did right and what they did wrong with this table because the wiring is a mess. Like it works, but it's a mess. So it's fun.
So are the wires like crossed and knots and stuff like that?
No, like the wiring looks really neat and clean.
Gotcha.
But, and I'm going to get kind of technical. There's two different types of wires. There's stranded wire and there's solid wire. So stranded wire is when you cut across it, it's a bunch of little wires put together. So like your fiber optic cable is a stranded wire. When each wire lights up, that's how it gets a signal and knows what to do. And it's a bunch of wires all put together. Again, I'm doing visual things on a audio platform, which works well, as opposed to a solid wire that's just one big piece of copper or whatever your conduit is through your wire. And then that's both cases, they're coated with plastic usually, unless it's your ground wire sometimes. So it's stranded wire going into that gets screwed into a plastic box. They did not crimp the wires though. So it's just stranded wire going into a box. And when you're screwing down on it, you're putting force on it and it breaks some of those strands. And so when I took the strands out so I could better see what was going on with the box, I had issues putting the strands back in because half of them weren't there anymore. So I get to trim and then re-strip the wires to crimp on a contact so it will be a lot easier to put back together and less likely to fall apart. So we're going to use it as a learning experience. So I've been back at work for 2 weeks. I've got another 10 weeks of part-time left, and then I'm full-time in August.
Yeah. I'm back as well.
Yep. You've been back for a while.
No, I went back the same weekend that you did.
Well, you went back again.
Right. So as the father, I do not get 12 weeks off.
You do.
Do I? No one uses it.
You just can't get paid. So I get 12 weeks.
You get 6 weeks, don't you?
I get 6 weeks paid. I can take up to 12 weeks off because the Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA, says that I can take 12 weeks off due to a family medical event and still have a job when I come back.
Yeah.
If I take 13 weeks off, I can potentially still have a job. Like my job is no longer guaranteed.
Yeah.
So like they can't fire me because I took 12 weeks off. They could fire me because my work is shit, but they can't fire me because I took 12 weeks off.
So I do not get that. I get 3 weeks paid, and then I have to take a week of my own PTO. I took 2 weeks when Elliot was born back in February, and I took another 2 weeks in late April, early May, the first week of May. And one of those weeks was spent, your last week off as well, was spent at the beach, which was really nice. It was a double-edged sword because we got to relax. We got to go to the beach, but then we came back on Saturday, late on Saturday, and everything was kind of a mess. And we only had a day to
get all your shiznit together so you can go to work on Monday.
Yeah. And we were supposed to, originally the plan was to use that week to organize, to do dry runs with grandparents, make sure everything was cool.
And then nope, trial by fire.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, really, 2 kids is the same. It's not much different than 1 kid, right?
When they nap at the same time.
Which they never do.
Nope. Why would they do that? That's just crazy talk.
So I am back to work. I'm working in the basement, the newly renovated basement, and I was missed as well, I think, though I didn't hear it as much as you apparently heard it.
Well, I mean, my hair was purple, so lots of people were like, wait, what? And I was actually in the office. It wasn't all virtual, so it wasn't like, oh, hey, Joe's little status icon is green instead of unavailable.
My status icon is always red.
In a meeting.
Yeah, because I have meetings. The first day back, I had meetings virtually all morning. I think there was an hour or two where I didn't have a meeting, but Mondays are my meeting heavy day. Not an ideal day to go back after being off for 2 weeks. I typically avoid taking off that long at one time unless it's like Christmas. Even then, I don't usually do that.
Well, so Christmas is one of those things where it's like everyone else is taking off. So usually it's really quiet in the office. Now, part of it, though, is end of year, like we're trying to get as much stuff out of the door before year end. But a lot of our vendors have shut down. So there's only so much we can really do. And half the engineers aren't in the office. So we just kind of, like, we get stuff done, but it's way less stressful than most weeks.
The Cincinnati office, at least, is going back on a voluntary basis to the office, but it's only going to be 20% capacity. So it's a little bit different than what your company did or is doing.
So
different than what my mom's company is doing.
Yeah.
So all companies seem to be they have their own policy.
So my company is following CDC/state guidelines. So the CDC says if you're vaccinated and indoors, unless if you're in like a high risk situation, you don't need a mask. So since I am vaccinated, I no longer have to wear a mask at work. And I'm sure that when the state opens up June 2nd, they'll lift the mask mandate at work as well. And nobody will have to wear a mask anymore.
At your work? Your work, yeah.
Yes, at my work.
They cite the WHO a lot at my work.
Which would make sense since you are a world organization.
But you would think they would cite the local authority, not the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
So I don't know. No one gets a desk anymore. They're moving to an open office floor plan. They spent a lot of money renovating our office. It was kind of like a hodgepodge of open seating and cubicles and recycled furniture. But now it's all different and it's all open seating. I believe they have the motorized standing desks.
Ooh, those are nice. We don't have those, though.
No one gets an assigned desk, and that means clean desk policy, no pictures, no anything on the desk. But it's also a community mouse, a community keyboard, community monitors. You have your laptop, you plug in. And they decided to do this during a pandemic.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, really? Yeah. You want me to use a community desk when people are touching stuff? And not that I'm a germphobe, but it seems like, what?
I've seen how quickly some guys come back from the bathroom. I know they didn't wash their hands. Yeah, fun times.
And at my previous job, they had this policy. And for the most part, people just sat at their desks.
Well, it's
the
like
same desk.
In high school, you typically have assigned seating. In college, it's sit where you want, but you're sitting within like 2 spaces of the desk that you sat your first day, usually. So it's like you might not be in the same exact seat every day, but you're pretty dang close to it. Unless if you're in a huge lecture hall, because if you don't get to the lecture hall in enough time, it's take whatever seat you can find.
Yeah.
But those small classrooms, there aren't assigned seats, but I'm just going to sit here every day because nobody else is here.
But in the case of my other job, it wasn't at 20% capacity.
Yeah. You and one of your coworkers were the only 2 people that had MacBooks. So there was literally 2 desks for you 2 to choose from. So it's just, well, I'll have this one and you'll have that one. Like there's no need for us to flip-flop.
And we also had a clean desk policy at my previous job, and everyone had they had lockers, like literal school lockers with combinations. Yeah. And that's where you put your winter jacket and your purse if you had a purse and stuff like that. And at the desks, they had these little community
pens and highlighters and cleaning supplies.
Yeah. And it doubled as like a chair. So if you want to pop in someone's desk, you have a place to sit.
That's weird. I didn't know that part.
That happened a lot with the cubicles. People would.
Ah, okay.
But in these community bins, there were Clorox wipes where you were supposed to, this was the company policy, the local office policy even, you were supposed to every day wipe your desk down. I did not see a single person do that.
No, people are gross.
No one wiped down their desk. The cleaning people do not do that I'm aware of. And they weren't supposed to do that. That was on the employees. In my current job, where they're going to expect everyone to find a random desk, and they're expecting if they are expecting the employees to wipe down after themselves, I don't see that happening.
See, I'm the kind of person that would wipe down at the end of the day and at the start of the day.
Yeah, I always cleaned my desk, but
You're a clean person.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's just therapeutic for me to clean.
I like that about you sometimes.
Like if I'm just mad at something, I take out. I clean. I don't know why, but that's just how it happens.
So we're both back in the office and we're both kind of missing the kids, but me more so than you because you're still working in the basement. And while it may be inconvenient at times, can be like, here, hold Elliot for 10 minutes while I go do this thing with Lily, as opposed to me where I'm like, there are no babies here. When's baby snuggle hour? When's co-sleep nap time? That really shouldn't be a thing. Where I need my toddler tea time. Like, where are the children? So cheers to getting a paycheck, getting the things done, and then coming home and playing with the kids after work.
And traffic that is lighter than before the pandemic, allegedly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when I actually get to work at 8 a.m. eventually, what the traffic's like then.
So now it is time for Joe's Dad Joke of the Week. This is your favorite segment.
I love this segment so much, and I am so glad that we added it. I don't know what the podcast would be without this segment. It's great.
Everyone agrees. It's the best.
So good. Such awesome. Yay.
So this is a timely joke, and it has to do with the cicadas.
Yay, cicadas.
These are the big, for those outside of the U.S. or outside of the Midwest. The cicadas are they're
big black bugs with big giant wings that are very slow and very stupid, and all they do is sit in trees and bushes and scream until they find a mate.
That's a pretty good summary. And every year in the spring, we get cicadas.
Yes, so there are annual cicadas that aren't so bad because there's just like a few of them. But now we are with our 17-year cicadas, aka Brood X. And there are hundreds and thousands of them in the soil that are slowly starting to emerge. And look for that special someone who could be the intestines of a bird because they got eaten.
So these bugs, they rise from the ground once it reaches 60 degrees.
Yep.
Fahrenheit. And they
bust out of their exoskeletons.
They stick to the side of a house or a tree, and then they get out of their exoskeleton. And they leave it behind. So on these trees, you just see empty shells
all over the place.
Yeah.
You're like, is that alive? Nope. It's just an empty husk of a cicada. Yay.
And then they go into the nearest tree, and as you said, they start screaming. And there's a lot of them.
A ton of them.
And it's very loud and very annoying. And people eat them, apparently.
Apparently, they're really good fish bait. So, I mean, that's not surprising. They're not terrible for dogs, but it's not recommended that your dog eats a ton of them. But I mean, it's not recommended that your dog eats a ton of anything, so.
So this joke is all about the cicadas. Shout out to them. Maybe in a future episode, you'll be able to hear them in the background.
Probably. Or just point a microphone at them.
So these cicadas, they sit in trees all day and scream. But when I do it, I'm, quote, disturbing the peace, and, quote, under arrest.
That's a good one, honey. I'm so glad you said that on this podcast. Good job.
Cue the applause.
Yay. That sounded like applause, right?
I bought a sound for that.
Oh, we're fancy now. We have a clap track. I don't know what that's called. I know of a laugh track, so I combined the two. I don't know if that's right. It is now Sunday. We should probably go to bed.
That does it for this week's show. Thank you so much for listening. We want to hear from you.
That is right. You, our lovely listener.
If you are listening to this, pay attention because we want to hear from you. If you have comments about a previous show or this show, maybe you really liked it or you learned something new or perhaps you did not like it so much.
You think that we could use it as a learning experience.
Yes, there are many ways to get in touch with us. You can send us an email at craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Craft Parenting Podcast to get updates on when episodes have dropped, see pictures of our adorable kids, and more.
Yep, and if you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show with your friends, family, your neighbor down the street. It really helps our show grow. You can also send us stuff to our awesome P.O. Box.
All of this information is available on our beautiful website, which I designed and you blog on.
I do blog. Do you blog? I mean, you put the blogs on the website, so technically, yes.
And that URL is www.craftparentingpodcast.com. So go check it out, read the blogs, see the show notes, click all the links, do all the things, bask in the beautifulness of the website, and go there. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the show. We are listed on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and just about every podcast out there. And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Are we done?
We're done.